Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to see you here today. It's December, coming up to the holidays here in Northern Illinois. And as you can see, all the snow is gone at my house. And we've been enjoying some nice, warmer weather, which is very cool. Hopefully, we'll have a white Christmas, which is always kind of nice. If you don't know who I am, I'm Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert and a shiatsu massage therapist in Northern Illinois, which is in the, Chicago area. I'm north of Chicago. As you can see, I live in the woods, which is a really important piece for me staying happy and healthy. So today we're going to be talking about speaking your truth. And I wrestled with this one a little bit. Good morning, Annette. I wrestled with this one a little bit because it's such a big thing. Speaking your truth, we've been talking about the chakras. We're talking about the throat chakra. And it's a really cool, good morning, Kathy. It's a really cool, complex topic. Anything from, speaking your truth and working on your throat chakra is, showing your inside vulnerability to the world. It's, taking the ephemeral, and almost imaginary and putting it out there. Good morning, Deidre. How nice to see you. It's a very risky thing, good morning, Jennifer, for us to speak our truths, for us to start expressing ourselves. One of the biggest challenges that we have is that we don't give ourselves permission to say, to work on this chakra a lot. Many of us, this is the trouble that we have. We get all locked up when we're trying to say something. Our throat actually closes. So let me address it from the way that I've come about it on how to speak my truth. I've come up with a lot of different tools and paradigms that I've kind of created to give me permission to say the things that need to be said. And since this is such a big issue for so many, people all over the place, but specifically I talk with women, this is such a big issue for women that it's really helpful if you can start to come up with mindsets and paradigms and thought processes that help you do that. So I'm just going to dive right in with ways that I've really worked this chakra in my life. One of them has been realizing that most people are so self-absorbed that they don't hear anything that you're saying anyways. So when you start to take the risk of speaking some of your truths, some of the things that you're thinking and feeling, most people really aren't listening anyways. The people that care about you are the ones that will listen closely or more closely, and the people that don't will find a reason to argue with you. So when I realized that I can speak what's inside of me more often, because even though I'm, let's say waiting for someone to attack me or waiting for someone to, argue with me or contradict what I'm saying, when I come from the place of realizing they're probably not listening because they're focused on other people judging what they're saying, other people judging what they're expressing to the world more than they're worried about what I am, it gives me a little bit more confidence, a little bit, it allows me to create a new experience for myself. Because the only way that we change going from not speaking our truths to speaking our truths is that we start to have positive experiences around it where it's okay. So in order to get past that, we actually have to take risks and start speaking things and start saying these things in tiny little ways, expressing what's inside of us and our vulnerability. And only by starting to do it small and practicing it and getting positive experiences where, oh, I snapped at them and they respected me, or oh, I shared something important to them, about myself, and they listened. So one of the other things I really had to work on was we aren't little girls anymore. For me, and I'm talking about me here. We were taught when we were young that if we do say something around our own peers, many times they will attack us, or they will, women or girls are really kind of icky like that. Good morning, Sherry. So a lot of us have had experiences of it's not safe to be vulnerable with other females because they'll come after us, because they'll argue with us, because they've got their own issues they're working through and will be attacked. Now, a lot of times that can be true when we're young, when we're kids. But one of the shifts that we have to make in our mind to give ourselves permission to start opening up and being vulnerable is that we're not kids anymore. And a lot of women have the ability to listen. A lot of women have the ability to be present. And so if you want to start changing that experience and that paradigm to open up your throat chakra, you start looking for women who have that ability, not people still stuck in their pain and their issues. You know, when I think of, I'm not very religious at all, but I always think of this passage, and it's about not throwing your pearls before swine. When we first, good morning, Susie, when we first start working with our throat chakra and speaking what's inside of us, we tend to do way too much. We tend to find the wrong people. Good morning, Randy, because we want to tell everybody what we're thinking and feeling. The problem with that, if we don't use good discernment, is we're going to continue to get negative feedback. Our energy in expressing it's going to be high energy, which is going to trigger people, and we'll pick people, anybody, and be like, okay, I'm going to speak what's on my mind, and it should be accepted, and it should be, respected and heard. Or I'm going to say it right now because now's the time that I need to say it, instead of watching and waiting for good times. You know, we tend to be two opposite sides of the spectrum. You know, one is we don't say anything, and then the other one is we wait until we're pushed up to the wall, and then we say something, and the timing isn't very good, you know, where we're not going to get good feedback. We're not in a good place, which means that we can't really see what's going on. We're triggering the people around us, and we choose people who are not able to be present with us. So we tend to self-sabotage ourselves when we first start trying to work on our throat chakra and speaking our truth. We make poor judgment as to who we choose, and we wait until we've got no choice. The way to start switching this around is not to wait. We start switching these things around, good morning, Tam, by taking back our power, taking back our power to affect our lives. Yeah, I bet, Susie, it's the story of a lot of people's lives. So when we start taking the power that we can affect the lives, our own life, and that we're not children anymore, surrounded by other children, even though a lot of times it feels like it, we start to choose when, where, how, why, and who that we start speaking what's really in our heart and in our mind. Because we can't just throw those words out there to anybody, because they're human beings just like we are. And many times people don't know what to do when they're taken off guard. And so their first reaction is just that, to react. They're not present. What tends to happen is we creep out of our closet, we say the thing that we need to say. It doesn't turn out well. Good morning, Mark. And we run back into our closet and we say, see, that didn't work. That experiment was a complete and utter epic failure, and I'm not going to do it again. But that's not the pathway to change. The pathway to change is step by step. We set up spaces. We almost reparent ourselves. We set up opportunities for us to have positive experiences of speaking our truth. Don't sabotage yourself by waiting until you're at the end of your rope. You know, many times when I counsel women, I'll say to them, get angry before you get angry. As in, you know, when something's on your mind and normally you would just blow it off and not let it bother you, you're going to wait until something's big, and then by the time you say something and draw attention to it, it's a complete shock. Good morning, Robin, to the people who are listening to us, that this is the first time that they've heard us. because it's the first time that they've had consequences or felt our energy, because we've done such a good job at dialing down our energy, or not showing them that this is serious, that people don't hear us. It can't get past their own self-absorption, which is what we've been talking about. So if you get upset or angry or hurt or frustrated or sad before you're at the end of your rope, if you express it with some rationality and mindfulness, like set yourself up to express it. If you express it, then you're able to start having better communication with people. If you express it in a way where you're so angry and hurt and frustrated that there's nothing else you can do anymore, or aggravated that you continue to say the same things and they just don't hear you, you're going to start to believe that nobody listens to you anyways. It'll just reinforce all those beliefs that you had in a kid, that you're nothing, that you're no one, that no one hears you, and why should you bother? And honestly, that's not the truth. The truth is we are filled with a world of people who have the capacity and ability and desire to be present for each other. We want to be connected. We want to hear other people's vulnerability. But because we're human, we need a little bit of assistance to be present, to hear, to listen. One of the tips and tricks that I've started trying is when something is important to me, before I say it, I say to the person, this is important to me, so I need you to be present. I need you to listen. I need you to not be judgy and snarky and awful, because this is a sensitive thing. So I draw my attention to that I need a positive experience with this. And I choose someone who more than likely will be able to be present, when I ask them. And I choose a time when I can be present and they can be present. So I do this with mindfulness. When you start speaking your truth or expressing yourself, through that throat chakra, you're able to move a lot of energy out of you. A lot of our issues are that we store up so many words and thoughts and ideas and beliefs and feelings that, good morning, Karen, nice to see you, it's been a while. We store so much up, and we don't speak them. And it starts to create tension, inflammation, and illness, pain, stress in our bodies, heart disease, knee problems, hip problems, headaches, all sorts of things like that. When we don't get out what's inside of us in some way, through art or through speaking or creativity, and that's, that communication is the throat chakra. When we don't do that, it builds up and it creates all sorts of ickiness for us. And one of the reasons we don't, as I said, is because we don't believe that we'll be safe if we express it. Because when we were kids, we might not have been safe. When we have waited to express ourselves and we've blown up, it's triggered the other person and we weren't safe. It was a bad situation. Or maybe we've tried expressing ourselves and we've been blown off by people. So I've been talking about that this whole time of, these are things that happen. This is normal, regular life where people will not listen, they won't pay attention, they won't hear you, they blow off what you say, and you don't make an impact. But there's ways around this. The ways around this are to start expressing yourself sooner in ways that people can hear you, and choosing people that can hear you. So the first time that I've expressed, let's say some of my past to people, the reactions have rarely been appropriate. And this happens for a lot of people who deal with women who've had trauma, if they haven't worked through how to do this themselves. So the first reaction tends to be exactly the wrong reaction. Usually it's, someone will have denial, they will have pity, they won't even hear what you have to say, it won't even register. And so, we wait until we're most vulnerable in order to express ourselves to people, and it will rarely work out the way that we think it is. we have to give people a little bit more of a chance. And this is where this experimenting comes in, and the starting to do it in tiny little amounts. We have to help the people that we love hear us. So we need to learn how to communicate what's going on inside of us in a way that they can hear, at a time that they can hear. You know, one of the biggest issues is that we've stopped having faith in each other. We've stopped having faith that the world is really a very good place. And the reason that things are kind of going into a death spiral is that people are overwhelmed and they're tired and they have baggage and issues of their own, and they can't see past whatever's going on in their life. Good morning, Daniel. But when we have faith in people, when we believe that they're human beings and that they have the ability to be kind and thoughtful and present and wonderful and lovely, you know, when we hold that vision of them, then we start to mold them towards that. We start to engage with them and dance with them and interact with them in a way that helps them be more present, helps them hear us, helps them understand what we're saying and what we're doing. Where people are at right now, if you wait until you're angry or hurt or completely vulnerable, it's probably not going to work out. You're going to have a very negative experience. But if you take back your power and your ability to shape your life and the lives of the people around you, you can help teach people and shape people to become good listeners, to be present to what you need to say, and to practice and work with speaking your truth. Work with saying the things that you need to say, and you get to learn how to express it in a way that people can hear you. You know, if you come at someone and in your anger and your hurt, you know, you can have some really positive experiences around that. But the positive experiences might be that you scare them so much that now they respect you, now they hear you. But at the end of the day, scaring somebody or having respect or someone listening to you because they're frightened or because they're shocked isn't good communication. Because what you're really looking for with healing your throat chakra isn't just to speak your truth. It's to have an honest, vulnerable, kind, compassionate dialogue and connection with another human being. That's probably what you're really looking for. Not just to be heard, but to feel connected through words and facial expressions and gestures, and to be truly understood. To be truly understood takes some effort on your part to learn how to communicate. First of all, if you never communicate, if you never say the words, if you never take the risk, then you won't communicate. You won't have that attunement that you're looking for, because that's what it's called. Good morning, Melissa. It's called attunement, when you are in sync with another human being and it's beyond words, and you're communicating your truths to each other that are beyond the things that you're saying. It's fairly amazing that we're able to communicate at all because of our own metaphors and interpretations of our words. But so here's the process. For me, one, I give myself permission, and I realize that if I take a small risk, it probably won't be a big deal. And to take the risk when I'm in a safe place, when I'm present, when I'm grounded, when I can observe my surroundings, and if I say something, I can run the other direction as fast as humanly possible if I need to, so I can gauge the situation, and that can be any sort of truth with any sort of energy. It could be anger. It could, you could be expressing anger, you could be expressing hurt, you could be expressing disappointment. You don't have to hide what's going on inside of you. Part of it is learning how to communicate it and training the people around you to be able to hear what you're saying. So you give yourself permission and you say, you know what, if I give this a shot in this way, it's probably not going to destroy my life. It's probably not going to, ruin everything. I'm not going to wait until I'm so emotionally engaged that I can't navigate. I can't adjust from the situation. So you give yourself permission, and then you look for people that you can start to have these positive experiences of connection and attunement with. So you can start to move the energy that you've been building up. So you look for a psychologist, or you look for me, or you look for people who have that ability, who've done some of their own inner work, who aren't going to trigger, who are in a good mood, in a good space, and you experiment that way. And you say, okay, can I really speak my truth to somebody? And you start having positive experiences. So that starts to rewire your brain and body. So after you've done it with safe people, then you try it with a little bit of scary people. You look for times and places. And one of my favorite movies is, what is it? It's the Christmas one with Ralphie and it's Christmas Story. That's it. It's a Christmas Story. And in that movie, Ralphie breaks his glasses, or something happens. And his mom, he gets in a fight. That's what it is. He gets in a fight, and his mom is going to tell his dad that Ralphie got in a fight. So she serves him dinner, one of the things that he loves, and while he's engaged with something else, she kind of says, oh yeah, Ralphie got into a fight. And it's able to come and it's able to go without a lot of emotional charge around it. Good morning, Anne. So, after you've practiced and moved some of the energy and worked with people who can hear you and women that can give you positive experiences, now you can start working on your children and your spouses and your bosses and things like that. And you start experimenting from a rational, grounded place, where you say, oh, I wonder if I express this at this time, if it will be heard, what will be the response? Part of the reason we get stuck is because we're so paralyzed by our emotion, by our fear, that we don't speak, because we think we will screw it all up. We think that we'll make all the mistakes in the world, and because in the past that's what's happened. But when you take a step back and you come from a place of experimenting, so you can adjust and you can observe and learn about what's going on, then you create positive outcomes for yourself. Then you start to create new neural connections where the fear doesn't control you, because now you've got positive experiences that you remember. The nice thing is, as I said, if you come from a grounded place, you can navigate real quick. And so it's not just you that's shifting and changing. It's when you do this, you're also starting to shift and transform and mold the people that you're talking to, whether it be your boss or your spouse or your kids. When you change how you communicate with people, when you change your dance, it changes to them how they communicate with you. They may be in a pattern of communication that they don't even think about. They just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And when you push different buttons, when you communicate with them in a different way, it causes them to now communicate with you in a different way. And then that becomes the new habit. When you shape people and mold people, they have to develop new habits of listening and communicating too. So this is the journey that you're on. It's not just by yourself if you speaking your truth. It's about you learning how to connect with the people that you love on a meaningful level by learning how to communicate with them so that they can hear you, and helping teach them how to listen and communicate back. And that's when you get to that higher level of connection. That's when you finally get those needs really met. It's not only about being heard, and it's not only about listening to somebody else. It's about having that powerful dialogue back and forth. And this is what the throat chakra is all about. It's about connecting with other people on a level that fulfills us and is meaningful. So if you need another little tool to start getting into your throat chakra, besides taking these risks and going out into the world. Good morning, Shayna. How wonderful to see you. Besides taking these risks and going out into the world and, and braving the lion in its den, you can start a lot smaller. And the smaller way is kind of the way that we've been talking about with the other chakras. You can start by bringing your attention to things. You can start by, bringing attention to your throat, giving it pleasurable, positive experiences. And especially the throat's really fun, because when you talk, when you sing, when you hum, it vibrates your whole body and gives your whole body this lovely massage. And that's one way to start having a positive experience with that chakra. It doesn't matter if you can sing. None of that stuff matters. What matters is that you're making noises and you're making sounds. You know, why do we scream when we're in pain? Why do we swear when we're angry? Why do we speak these things? Because it makes us feel better. Because it vibrates all the cells in our body. It releases that electrical energy, you know, and it dials down our stress. This is why we make noises, unless we're terrified, you know, and then we're silent. But this is why we make noises when we have emotions, singing or humming or yelling or screaming, you know, because it's a way for our throat chakra to positively impact the rest of us, our psyche and our body mind, and dial down our nervous system. So if, you know, the experimentation route you're not quite ready for yet, just start having positive experiences with your throat chakra. Start loving it and liking it and appreciating it, enjoying it, and giving it lots of praise and lots of gratitude, and playing with it and working with it and becoming its friend. When you do that, then you'll probably be ready to start experimenting with going out there and saying the things that you need to say. So those are my tips and tricks for the day for the throat chakra. I hope they were super helpful. They've helped me in hundreds of ways. And you document, you watch how the people in your life change and how you communicate with them changes. And that's very cool and very reinforcing to watch all of that happen. And so I know you're going to get there, and I know you can do that, because what you really want is that attunement and that connection and that back and forth. You want to feel like you and another person are plugged into each other, especially if you love them and they love you. So I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the third eye. We're going to talk about, you know, that top chakra. If you love this stuff, go to inspiredmassage.com. Sign up for our emails, and I'll send out the live streams in those, so you can kind of collect them and watch them while you're driving or while you're, you know, doing the dishes or cleaning or doing something else, or, you know, you can pile them up and binge listen to me, but actually to our tribe, coming together and connecting with one another in a really positive, beautiful way. So until tomorrow, have a great rest of your day. And thank you so much for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.